Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Phantasy Star 4. In our last episode, Alice died, and that's pretty much the bulk of what happened last time, aside from getting our hands on the Psycho Wand. So first things first, we need to head over to Zio's fort, and whoops, I need to use the right spell. Let's go to Mile. Slightly closer than Kaderi or Kaderi, either one works. As long as you make it to Zio's fort. Now, if you tried doing this the first time you came through here, well, you wouldn't have the Psycho Wand, obviously, so it would have been a dead end. That's why I didn't go over that at that time. But now, we can. See, there goes Rune again, being calm and collected, and Chaz is letting his emotions get the better part of him. Alright, now that we're in Nurvus, there's a few new enemies here, but they're nothing different than their palette swapped cousins, and even some old enemies, so I'm not going to take time to go over them. What I will take time to go over, though, is the Alice death scene. In the previous episode I mentioned I had a few thoughts about it, and here they come, guys. I know it's probably not the most exciting thing to hear me talk about, but you know, I do analyze things quite a bit, and I looked at that scene from a few different angles, and I just think, given the time that it came out in as well, here we get a wave shot. Weapon for Demi. Very nice upgrade, wow. Now you have to keep in mind that this game came out back in 1994, so that's when censorship was a lot more strict than it is nowadays. Just the fact that this game uses the comic book style cinematics to explain what's going on in the game, and motherfucker. Anyways, you know, I think actually being able to see a character's facial expressions and things of that nature during a cutscene adds a lot more to it. I'm going to compare this to Final Fantasy VI when General Leo dies. Now when he dies in that game, all you see is, you know, Kefka jump on his back and you hear like a stabbing noise, and then his sprite flickers a few times and disappears because he was bitten by a giant tarantula. And these guys, I believe they're robotics, but we'll just use regular attacks because I don't want to lose my train of thought like I almost just did there. Yeah, so Leo, when he dies, you know, his sprite flickers a few times and disappears, and that's it. It's not very detailed, there's no one else around, so it's just kind of meh, in my opinion. And in this game, you know, you actually see a close-up of Alice in bed. You know she wasn't doing well for a little while now, and seeing her eyes close and all that nature, it really added a lot more emotion to the scene than just watching her sprite flicker and blink and just disappear. And can we go left? No, we can't. And also seeing the facial expressions of everyone else that was in the room. I think the writers and the animators did a very good job at conveying realistic emotions and reactions to that scene, given the characters and their history with Alice. Obviously, we saw Chaz, who was rather upset, but that makes sense because, you know, Alice took him in. I think he was like an orphan or something of that nature, but he was a little piece of shit thug. And Alice took him in, trained him, gave him a job, gave him something to live for, and was kind of like an older sister / mother figure to Chaz. So it's pretty reasonable that Chaz would be upset and cry and all that good stuff. Grizz, yeah, he seemed upset, but he didn't have anything to say. He just kind of stood off in the background. And that makes sense too, because, at least in my opinion, the only thing Grizz cares about is killing Zio. You know, he could give two shits about Alice or saving the world or anything of that nature. All he wants is revenge. So the fact that Grizz doesn't say anything, it makes sense. I could see him being upset because he fought with Alice for a little bit of a time, and maybe they're comrades, and he feels, you know, he feels sad because, you know, he lost his fighting partner. Okay, I'll give him that much credit. And Demi, she too didn't have anything to say. She just kind of stood off in the background and didn't show any emotions or reactions, mostly due to being an android, I would assume. But you know, Demi just met Alice, so she doesn't really have that connection with her. But what Demi does have is some ceramic gear, which we will give her now. So again, you know, Demi's reaction is reasonable, it makes sense. And these guys have a bit of HP, so you know what? Let's see if we can't instant death them with Demi. Who's next? Yeah, Han and Saya. Again, neither of them had too much to say when Alice did pass away. Man, a lot of new enemies here, more than I remember. And similar to Demi, you know, Saya, she only met Alice, I think, once. So you would think that her reaction would be to, oh, it's upsetting to see someone die, but that's pretty much it. But I think it goes a little further than that with her, because her and Han had stayed behind to look after Alice and try to keep her in good shape, and you know, they were doing their best to keep her alive. And I know I've been in a situation similar to that, although not quite exact. And if you have, you know, yourselves, you can relate to this. But when you care for somebody who's ill and things go south, and you know, it's not looking too good, I think there's a bond that's formed when you take care of somebody. And you know, I think Saya and Han, who already had a connection with Alice, I think his was just strengthened. But I think Saya formed a bond with Alice in that short time. Oh, these guys suck. You know what? Hopefully he dies. So yeah, you know, the fact that, you know, Saya is upset, you know, it's, again, reasonable. And it makes sense in a real world situation. Motherfucker. I'm not gonna do too much, but I still need to heal. Rika, you know, I don't know if you saw it because the scene kind of auto-scrolled at that point, but Rika was bawling her eyes out, which, damn, another dead end. Which is sad because, you know, it's Rika, we all love her. But Rika, you know, she was in that bioplant her entire life, so she's never experienced things like life and death. Well, she's experienced monsters dying. And speaking of monsters dying, these guys can actually drop, I think they're laser claws. So if you want to give a second one for Rika, you could. Yeah, pretty high defense and evasion though, so see if we can't spark this one and hit this one with thunder. That should be really good damage. Okay, good, that missed. So yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah, Rika. Now Rika, she only met Alice relatively recently as well, but if you remember in that one scene where Alice kind of put her hand on Rika's shoulder and gave her some spaced armor, you know, we saw a softer side of Alice, and it kind of hints that she was doing the same thing with Rika that she did with Chaz, you know, kind of just being a, I don't know, a caring soul or something of that nature. So I think Rika really looked up to Alice and respected her. So, you know, Rika bawling her eyes out the way she did, again, I think that was very, very accurate. Well done. Now, I saved Rune for last because I've already mentioned how, you know, he's a wisecracking jackass and a little conceited at times, but, you know, when it comes to time to get serious, you know, he does have that within him. And you can tell by the close-up on his character that his facial expression, he was very concerned for Alice, and you could tell that he was really upset. Although, you know, in the scenes afterwards, you know, he was able to step up and be serious and give Chaz kind of a lesson in tough love there. You know, he's like, hey man, you need to get your shit together and really think about your time with Alice, and you know, really think about the things that she taught you. So, you know, there is, again, it added so much more to Rune's character than, oh, he's just some guy who's arrogant and pompous and he's a jerk. But no, you know, he's actually human and has a wide variety of emotions. And I'm going to show this off now because there's 4 enemies, and it's awesome because it does like 300 damage. Holy shit. And that is the power of Phonon, guys. And that is a Plasma Claw. Now, be careful here because since you only have 1 Laser Claw, I made this mistake my first time I played the game. I just gave the Plasma Claw to Rika and took off her Laser Claw because it's kind of what happened by default. And as you can see, it's only +7, which is it's okay. But if you put the Plasma Claw in place of the Saber Claw, yeah, you get +14. So you want to be careful with that. Or if you happen to get a Laser Claw from those 1 enemies, I guess that wouldn't be a problem for you. But anyways, make sure you keep an eye on that. That way you get the most attack power there. So yeah, just to wrap up my entire rant that has been going on for this entire video, I just want to give, you know, my approval and a definite thumbs up to the writers and the animators of this game for doing such a very, very well thought out and well executed scene. I mean, it really, for its time, it was really, I don't want to say it was kind of risque, but, you know, portraying death and human emotions like that back then was very uncommon. And here comes Sega with, you know, their big balls in their hands, and they're like, you know what, we're gonna make this scene powerful because it needs to be, and it was. So yeah, unfortunately Alice is no longer with us, and here we are in Nurvus. We've already looted the place of all the good stuff, so we're just gonna heal up. We're getting to the end of this place. But let me know what you guys think of that whole death scene, or if there's any other scenes of similar nature that came out around this time that are either better or maybe similar. And let me know, because I don't pretend to know everything about video games or RPGs or anything of that nature, so I could very well be forgetting about something here or neglecting to give credit to another game that may have done it better. So please let me know. Also, let me know why Chaz learns bros. It's so late in the game, really, and I don't know. Seems like they just threw it in there to give them something to have, to be honest. I'm never going to use it, but there you go. Alright. Anyways, moving on. Oh, shit. It is Zio. Oh, man. Here's that sinister music again. Okay guys, unfortunately I'm going to call it a video here, but can we defeat Zio, avenge Alice, and save the world? Find out next time in the exciting conclusion of Phantasy Star 4. Have a good day guys, and I will see you then.